Assalamu alaikum. This is lecture 3 of Information and Communication Technologies, and this lecture will contain highlights about the development of internet and a famously used internet network, World Wide Web. Here the lecture content serves as in the start we will look at the evolution of the internet over the years since its inception from 1960s to the current development. Then there will be some discussion about the internet usage in the current environment and how different kind of people use the internet to achieve their tasks. This will also emphasize about the online communication and activities which internet allows users to perform. And finally, we will discuss some recent past developments in the technical terms in the internet technologies. So first of all, let's define the term internet. Internet is classified as a network of networks, and it is the largest and most well-known computer network, linking about millions and in today's environment even billions of devices all over the internet. It is a furnished way of obtaining information. It will help you to disseminate information and access entertainment and communicating with others. So there are a number of opportunities and options that internet has provided us with. So in simple terms, the internet is the network of networks as depicted earlier. It is a global communication system that links together thousands of individual or even millions of individual networks. These connections allow users to exchange messages to communicate in real time. For example, you can see the messages and the responses immediately. Internet is useful to share data and programs and to access limitless stores of information which is available throughout the internet. Internet is famously known in the past was the ARPANET. It was named after the Advanced Research Project Agency (ARPA), which was the main sponsor of this development of the network. So initially it was developed by the Department of the Defense in the United States of the America for the defense and military purposes. And in the second phase, universities were also included to have connection in different states of the America and even in different countries. And initially it connected only 4 supercomputers available at that time, and eventually that network has evolved into today's internet. So if we look at the evolution of the internet, the major breakthrough internet has seen is the development of the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is the collection of web pages available through the internet, and it was proposed by the Tim Berners-Lee in 1989 at the CERN laboratories. And originally the World Wide Web was intended for the text-based content. However, after the release of a Mosaic browser in 1993 led to the graphical content over the World Wide Web. So wide variety of content is available through the web pages in today's internet mainly because of the World Wide Web, and it includes social networking websites, different RSS feeds, podcasts, blogs, and wikis. So after the initial development, the advanced version of Internet was termed as Internet 2.0, and it uses some updated technologies in the late 90s and early 2000s. So it introduces the main concept of interactivity, which is available in most of the current applications such as social networking sites and other blogging medium. And one of the improvement was the electronic mail, in which you can send instantaneous messages and documents, which can include other form of media. The advent of the news, or often news groups, were created so that which allowed the real-time exchange of news and comments on those news articles. So apart from that, Internet contains a file transfer protocol which allows the host to send files from one server to other. So this diagram briefly depicts the evolution of the Internet over the years. So as described earlier, the ARPANET was founded in 1969, and it involved only few of the military bases or defense departments and some of the universities. So this diagram omits the unnecessary details of the development of the Internet, and it highlights the major milestones achieved during the years. So as we move 15 years from 1969, in 1984, the ARPANET has more than 1,000 individual computers linked as hosts. So as you can see, in 15 years, only 1,000 computers were able to connect with each other. So after these um slow improvements, the Internet was being made available to common people in 1986. So in 1986, NFF connects a new network with to ARPANET and becomes known as the Internet we today know. So a decade later, in 1995, the same organization terminated its network on the Internet and resumed its status as a research network. So after 1 year of that, the current version of Internet was founded, termed as Internet 2.0. So after that, the Internet went public so that a common man can access and also participate or join Internet as well. So uh, this saw a rapid growth in the Internet, and today billions of hosts are connected to the Internet. So there are different kinds of medium which allows you to connect to the Internet, and these medium or the network facilitators have evolved over the time, and there are many options available for home and small business users to connect to the Internet using high-speed broadband Internet servers. So initially there were cable Internet servers and DSL service, and with the time the fiber optics or fiber to the premises is also used in many commercial and uh, individual usage, and there were fixed wireless networks as well. So in the late 1980s, cellular radio networks also saw an immense growth along with the Wi-Fi and satellite internet service. So in current era, all of these network mediums are accessible to varying devices. Along with the development of internet, there was the development of service provision as well. So there were varying kind of service providers. For example, at the internet provision level, the internet service providers were created to provide internet. So there are various kind of service providers. Some have the regional scope and some have the national scope. At the regional level, the Internet Service Provider or ISPs in short term provide the internet access to a specific geographical area. So for example, the network in the Pakistan such as Sky Telecom or Wi-Fi provide network access to a specific geographical area. And there are some national internet service providers which provide internet access in cities and towns nationwide, such as Pakistan Telecommunications Limited or other China Mobile companies. Along with the physical presence of internet service provision, there were also services about the online provision of those services. So these are termed as OSP or online service providers. So online service providers usually have many members only features. So if you are a member of an online community, you can access those online service providers. They are so they are not quite prevalent in the third world countries. However, in the advanced countries, you have many online service providers including the AOL America's Online Network and Microsoft Network, which is available in the advanced countries. So the other service providers are the wireless internet service provider, which provides a wireless access to the internet for computers and mobile devices. So these are also quite prevalent in most of the countries. And to use these, you must have a wireless modem. So to connect to the internet, your device must have the IP address or the Internet Protocol address. The IP address is a number that uniquely identifies each of the computer or device connected to the internet. So for every device or for every server, you need an IP address. So that IP address can be translated to a domain name of the server in the textual format. And many servers have the top level domains and the lower level domains. In the main type of server which allows the host to find the other host is called domain name server, or in short DNS. DNS contains the information about all of the IP addresses connected to the internet. So a DNS server translates the domain name into its associated IP address. So for example, we have a domain name of www.google.com, and it is a top level domain at this point. So you can have the low level domains such as .pk, .uk, etc. And this domain name is mapped to IP address which, for example, Google may host. So we have used an imaginary IP address here. This may not belong to Google. Before exploring more about the internet, there are some myths about the internet. Let's discuss briefly each of these. So the first myth is very common, that people may get the understanding about the internet that it is free of cost. However, the internet is not free, and most people and businesses pay for the internet access. Even if you are accessing the internet on your mobile device, you have to pay in some form to access the internet. The businesses, schools, and libraries usually lease communication lines from the phone companies or other internet service providers. And when you talk about the content on the internet, the content is also not free. And many fee-based content websites are growing at the rapid pace. For example, you pay a small amount of fee to download music and movies, and there are several websites which allow you to download the softwares in, in form of some donation. The second myth about the internet is that someone controls the internet, which is quite wrong, and no single group or organization controls the internet. However, few governments have put certain regulations and restrictions that internet use in that specific country is limited or restricted, but it is very difficult to enforce. Especially in the countries like Pakistan, we have seen numerous bans on different kinds of applications and websites, but as you can see, it has been not very effective. Another myth about the internet is that internet and the World Wide Web are identical. And again, it is wrong. Internet is is the whole component of connected networks. However, the World Wide Web is some part of the internet. So internet is a physical network. On the other hand, World Wide Web is the one resource available through the internet. So there are other sources available through the internet such as mail transmission or file transmission from one host to another. So internet has a vibrant community in today's environment, and most of the members of the internet community fall into some of the following groups. The most common members of the internet are the users itself. Users are the people who use the internet for their own purpose. So there can be many users around the globe. The internet is provided by the internet service providers, which are also the part of the internet community. Then there are internet content providers which provide the content on the internet through the websites or other file transmissions. These are usually businesses, non-profit organizations, or educational institutes. And in today's internet environment, individuals can also provide internet content. So apart from that, there are application service providers, which are again some companies or individuals that manage and distribute software-based services over the internet. These services are web-based software or in the cloud terms, software as a service. These are often fee-based business software. The software can also be provided using a web service which is added to a web page to provide specific services for end users. Finally, there are some infrastructure companies which are also a key component of internet community and which own or operate the physical structure of the internet, which is the backbone of the internet. And these are conventional and mobile phone companies, for example, cable companies and satellite internet providers. So, as you should know by now, that the internet provides access to the resources, and most of the resources are managed by the World Wide Web. And the World Wide Web is a service for accessing documents in a hierarchical form that is supported by the Internet. And the World Wide Web contains the web pages, and the web connects the documents, and usually the documents are created by a hypertext markup language (HTML). Documents are stored on web servers, and the hypertext transmission protocol, which is often prefixed with each web address, is responsible to deliver the documents over the web. So again, website is a collection of documents. Document is a web page, and pages are published on the web. So people have been using the internet for various purposes, and there are numerous types of tasks that you can achieve on the internet based on your personalized experience. So there are several types of online communication, and one of the most widely used for individuals is the micro blogging or twittering, which helps the users to send and receive tweets or short messages on social networks. It is used for both businesses and personal lives. As you can see, it is quite prevalent for companies and individuals. And there are some other applications and other types of status updates which are available through some other social networking websites such as Facebook, Instagram, etc. Apart from the social sites, there are message boards which allow students and teachers or even other communities to post and read messages. So these are forums which help the users to ask the question and the responders to respond using the comment or reply option. Another common online communication is the Voice over Internet Protocol, or VoIP in short, to make telephone calls over the internet using variety of applications such as Skype or other instant messaging applications. So this type of communication has been more permanent than the rest of the applications, and it is quite replacing the usage of landline and mobile phone calls. The online communication also has impact on the web conferences, which help to uh, manage and initiate conferences online using face-to-face meeting on the web. So it typically uses the video cameras and microphones to enable participants to see and hear each other, and there are many web conference services are in use. For example, Microsoft Teams and Zoom are quite prevalent in the educational community. So as I mentioned earlier, there are many types of online activities for the individuals, and social networking is one of the most widely used activity across the globe. So social networking site is a site that enables a community of individuals to communicate and share information, and the common social networking sites in use are Facebook, Instagram, which allow people to post information about themselves. There are some video and photo sharing websites which are quite famous in many parts of the world, such as YouTube, Flickr, and recently TikTok has made a certain impact. So these networking sites are used equally in families, even in education, politics, and business. Users, users should be careful not to reveal too much about themselves for the safety and the privacy reasons. Another type of online activity is doing the shopping through e-commerce and making online financial transactions. However, there is a caution here that you must ensure that all e-commerce activities are performed using the secure web server. So you can initially check it that each of the address which involves the e-commerce must be prefixed with the HTTPS, which stands for secure layer instead of simple HTTP protocol. So use a credit card and an online payment service whenever possible. So it is also an amalgam with the online shopping, which is the buying of products and services online. So you can purchase items via manufacturers, large businesses, small businesses, and etc. Again, you will be required to pay a credit through a credit card or through any other option. Internet also has helped the education and other um, training facilities throughout the world. So internet has transformed the delivery of education to online systems, which is the usage of internet to facilitate the learning, and there is prevalent web-based training, which are instructions delivered on the individual basis through the web. So the number of organizations involve corporate training, tutorials, and distance learning through internet. Distance learning is the one of the most widely used activity in internet in the field of education. So distance learning is defined as the student who is physically located away from the instructor and other students, and the instructions take place through the web. So distance learning has many advantages and disadvantages. For the positive side, the distance learning helps the student to study at their own pace with flexible location and up-to-date material with immediate feedback and customized content. However, technology requirements have some problems such as anonymity and the lack of face-to-face contact. Internet is also used in online testing. So there are several testing organizations which conduct the online tests. So it is available for both of the objective and performance-based exams, and these exams are typically graded automatically using the same web service. In the online testing, security is again an issue because you have to authorize the testing centers before conducting online exam, and the security of the testing system itself is somewhat concerning. Internet is also widely used for searching of the information, and searching the internet is also a very important skill. So you should learn to search the internet in an effective manner. So there are several search sites available over the internet which are specifically designed to help users to search for web pages that match specified requirements or selected categories in form of some keywords. So typically you should use a search engine in conjunction with a database containing information about the web pages to locate appropriate web pages. In late, the real-time search engines are also emerging which search the web without considering the database, for example, searching for the currently available content or content which is spread in the recent times. There are many such sites contains additional tools. For example, the common platforms such as Google help you to search for music, images, news, maps, people, telephone numbers separately. So Google is one of the most versatile search sites. So this leads us to the definition of search tools, and there are two types of search tools which are search engines and search subject directories. So a subject directory, as the name suggests, is the directory of different type of content. A subject directory provides categorized lists of links. Search tool A subject directory is a search tool with organized set of topics and subtopics. It is much like a database or a folder which contains the information or files in that folder. Such directory lets you find information by clicking on those links rather than entering or searching the keywords. It is specialized in linking to other web pages and other websites as well and categorizing those links. However, subject directory is not a search engine and does not display list of web pages based on keywords. Instead, it lists websites by category and subcategory. On the other hand, search engines are programs used to find websites and web pages by entering words or phrases called search text, also called keywords. Some search engines also mine data available in databases or open directories. Search engines also maintain real-time information by running an algorithm on the web crawler. The Internet is full of web services which are provided through different websites. So one type of service is the availability of portals. The portals offer you a variety of services from one convenient location, usually for free. For example, you may have the portals for searching sports, email news, weather, or auctions. These are web communities which help people to join for the similar interests. There are websites for the news, which contains newsworthy material. It contains stories and articles related to the current events, life, money, sports, etc. There are some web services which provide information. It must more specifically be factual information, which is usually created by organizations and government agencies, such as information about a specific country or even uh, about specific health or disease issues or examples of this kind of website. Businesses also create web services which contain content that promotes their products or services, and it allows you to purchase these products and services on those web services or websites. And for common users, the blog is a type of service which is regularly updates journal format to reflect the interests, opinions, and personalities of the author and sometimes site visitors. Another use of web services is in wikis. So there are quite wikis available. Wiki is a collaborative website that allows users to create, add, modify, or delete the website content using their browser. Wikipedia is one of the examples. There are social websites which are quite prevalent that encourage the members in online community to share their interests, ideas, stories, photos, music, videos, etc. There are also web services for educational purposes which offer avenues for formal and informal teaching and learning techniques. Some companies offer online training for employees and some colleges offer online classes and degrees. Web services are also used for entertainment, which offer an interactive and engaging environment featuring various multimedia such as music, video, sports games, and much more. And in the combination of all, there are web apps. A web application or web app is a website that allows users to access the internet with software through a web browser or any computer or device that is connected to the internet. These were some of the common services which were provided online through the web. So let's briefly look at a few of the example applications which are provided as a service online. And one of most commonly and widely used is the email. Email is pronounced as electronic mail and it is the exchange of messages with other users. So when you send the email, messages reach the destination in seconds and mail waits in the mailbox until you or the recipient opens the messages. Mail can contain various forms of media such as text, audio, pictures, and video messages. To, to use the email, you have to configure the email. For example, if you want to use email on your device and you have the email application, you have to configure the email clients to read and send email. So for Windows, Outlook and Windows Mail are the common email client and you need a name of the mail server and the username or password to use those emails on your email client. However, there are several online available clients such as Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, and even Outlook or other available providers for email which need no configuration in advance and you can simply create a login and use these services online. So for the email addresses are unique for every user and which allows sending and receiving of the email and email usually has the first uh, literal as the username at the rate some provider dot com or other top level domain. So you have to keep in mind that the case of the letter does not matter. Username in the small will be equal to username in the capital letters or even if you use the interchangeably one letter small and other as a large. Another common application is the streaming of audio and video messages. So as you can see in YouTube, for example, the YouTube player plays only a part of the video and if you are continuing the video, the server loads more video content. So at the start, the server sends the multimedia content in the pieces which is buffered by the client PC. So the first piece of streaming content is buffered then played as the next piece arrives. As mentioned earlier, The usage of internet is not only limited to the viewing of pages. Another common application of internet is the transmission of files using file transfer protocol. The file transfer protocol copies the files from a remote computer. For this purpose, you need an FTP client, and for that particular server, you need to have the name of the server, username, and password, as well as the port to access the files. So the screenshot presented here suggests the usage of a commonly used FTP client named FileZilla. So continuing from the previous slide, internet allows to use different applications to create chats. For example, Internet Relay Chat is a real-time communication system with multiple users with many channels or rooms. So for every Internet Relay Chat application, there are several channels, and channels are dedicated to a topic, and all the users can read the comments. For example, in a live streaming uh, video, or in the live streaming video on a social network such as Facebook or YouTube, you can create the chat channel, and the chat will be accessible to all of the users. And there are also online services such as companies that offers access by subscription. For example, you can use banking application, games, and research activities. The internet applications are also used in peer-to-peer services where no computers are managed by the servers, and computers are connected together. Users can communicate directly without the control of the servers and can share files independently. So to use the World Wide Web, you must have the access to a browser, and browsers require you to navigate to the web. So you have to enter the URL into the browser, or if you have entered the URL, or if you are viewing a page, you have to click on a link to open another page. Links are typically blue underlined words, and there are images which also work as the link on different pages. So in the advanced terms, you can use the software to access the internet as well. A software accessing the other part of the web, or in the programming term, a software accessing a web server or web service is termed as using an API, application programming interface. An API simplifies the connection to network devices, and it allows any application to access internet or internet services. Usually Unix APIs or even Windows APIs use sockets. So sockets are the combination of the service address, or the location of the or the IP address of the server, along with the accessing port number. So you can also use the software to access networks by writing network drivers. So these softwares control the access to the network. For example, Ethernet and dial-up require drivers, and again an API connects to the drivers to control the network. So to conclude this lecture, the another recent development or future development of the web is Web 3.0. As the web has evolved through the version 1.0 and 2.0, and the work is underway to develop the next version of the web 3.0, also known as the semantic web. The semantic web, in short, is the extraction of the meaningful information from the web on, on the basis of input read from different sensors. So some researchers predict that next generation of web will perform practically any task imaginable. So in essence, the web will become one huge searchable database, and automated agents of every type will retrieve the data we need to live productive lives. For example, your computer will be able to scan a web page much as you do to look for some specific useful information. So if you need the location of the nearest, for example, a doctor, and the time when your brother is arriving from another country is read from the email which in which he has provided you at the time to land on the airport. So the Web 3.0 will first provide those information and then search your calendar, checking to see if your schedule allows time for the doctor's appointment before picking up your brother at the airport. So let's conclude today's lecture with some understanding or some information about the internet etiquettes, termed as netiquette. Netiquette is the code of acceptable internet behavior. As the golden rule suggests, treat others as you would like them to treat you. So in short, you should be respectable on the internet whenever you connect or communicate with each other. So in emails, chat rooms, and in news groups, you should keep your messages brief. You should use proper grammar, spelling, and punctuation. You should be careful when using sarcasm and humor, as it might be misinterpreted, because there is a difference of understanding when you communicate through the text. You should be very polite when asking questions or answering, and you should avoid offensive language at any cost. You should read the message before you send it. You should use a meaningful subject line so that the recipient understands your message without reading the whole paragraph you have written. So you should avoid sending and posting any messages which are controversial and in, which initiate some kinds of flames or intrusive, insulting messages. So do not participate in these kinds of flame wars which involve exchanges of slogans which are unacceptable by many members of the community. You should also avoid sending and forwarding useless spam messages. Spam is an unsolicited message or newsgroup posting sent to many recipients or newsgroups at once. So you should not use the capital letters as well, which is equivalent of shouting. However, you can use emoticons to express your emotions, and popular emoticons include smiling, frowning, undecisiveness, indifference, and surprise. And you can also use abbreviations or acronyms for phrases such as provided here, and you should clearly identify a spoiler, which is a message that reveals the solution to a game or ending a movie or a program. When using the internet, before asking any question, you should read the frequently asked questions portion of the website, and if this exists, you must go through this. And many quality websites have the frequently asked questions section. So on the internet, you should not assume the material is accurate and up to date. So if there is some error, you should be forgiving. And most importantly, never read someone's private messages, emails, and other information. I hope you will be looking at these etiquettes whenever you will be searching and sending messages to anyone over the internet. So this concludes today's lecture, and if you want to read more about the topics, you can go through the recommended books or you can search online. And if you have any questions, you can ask me through any of the designated medium or you can conduct the question and answer session. Thank you very much.